Hi, I'm Dr. Perkins. We're going to go over the major human organ systems. So just a little bit of review. Organs are groups of tissues with a common function. For example, the heart pumps blood. It's an organ because it's made up of multiple tissues. It's part of an organ system, which is a group of organs with a common function. The heart is part of the cardiovascular system, which includes the heart and blood vessels. Okay, so let's just go through these organ systems as quickly as possible. And 11 organ systems. We have the integumentary system, which consists of skin, hair, and nails. It protects the body, protects the organs, and it helps control body temperature. In addition to skin, hair, and nails, keep in mind that you have hair follicles and for the production of hair. And also the hair follicles are connected to sebaceous glands, which secrete a fatty substance that oils the skin, moisturizes the skin, sometimes results in pimples. And there are also sweat glands and sensory receptors or nerve endings in the skin. The skin consists of two layers, the epidermis on the outside and the dermis, where most of all of the blood vessels go to, and also the nerve endings. And then there's something called the subcutaneous layer, or the hypodermis, which is underneath the skin, that is where you store fat for warmth. Next, we have the skeletal system, which consists of the bones and cartilage and joints. We'll learn about all of that. The bones store minerals and calcium and phosphorus, and they also protect the organs. And on the inside, you have bone marrow, which the purpose of bone marrow is the production of all blood cells. Then we have the muscular system. When we talk about the muscular system, we're primarily talking about skeletal muscle. These are muscles that move the bones. The muscles are attached to bones by tendons, and many muscles are attached to each other by flat connective tissue structures called aponeuroses. The purpose of skeletal muscle is to move the bones, and it also creates body warmth. We also have cardiac muscle, which is the muscle found in the heart, and we have smooth muscle, which is the muscle that is lining blood vessels and the digestive tract, which is responsible for pushing food through the digestive tract or contributing to the walls of the blood vessel. Then we have the nervous system, which consists of the brain and spinal cord and peripheral nerves, and they detect stimuli and they create a response. The response may be, they may bring in light, such as sensory receptors in the eye, or they may bring in a sense of touch, and then that feeling or information is integrated in the brain, and the brain will then formulate a response to the information. So you have the central nervous system, which is the brain and spinal cord. You have the peripheral nervous system, which consists of all of the nerves that reach out to the extremities, the peripheral nerves, and also the peripheral nervous system consists of the autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for your automatic responses. And then you have the special senses, the eyes, the ears, so sight and hearing, and olfaction, which is smelling, gustation, which is taste, and also touch. And so we have actually quite a bit of time we will spend learning about the nervous system. Then you have the endocrine system, which is with the nervous system. This will regulate the body. The endocrine system detects when the body is not in homeostasis. Homeostasis means a steady state. The endocrine system detects when the body is not in its steady state, just like the nervous system detects when the body is not in its steady state. And the nervous system will send out what is called a neurotransmitter. The endocrine system will send out a hormone. It's a little bit slower acting than a neurotransmitter, but the endocrine system's hormones will correct the situation. Okay, so if the metabolic rate goes down, then the thyroid gland will secrete thyroid hormone that increases metabolic rate. If you've eaten a meal and the level of glucose is very high in the bloodstream, then the pancreas will send out the hormone insulin into the bloodstream to reduce the level of glucose in the blood and recruit the glucose into the cells where it can function to provide energy. You can see a whole list here on this slide of many different endocrine glands and their functions, and we will learn all of them. You have the cardiovascular system, whose job is transport. It consists of the heart and blood vessels, transporting nutrients and wastes throughout the body. The lymphatic system's job is to take fluid that is filtered out of blood vessels and goes into the tissue spaces in the body, and to take that fluid and bring it back to the bloodstream. The lymphatic system is a series of vessels, lymph vessels. It is of sorts a circulatory system, and in the vessels that is that fluid, which we call lymph. Attached to these lymphatic vessels are also little organs called lymph nodes, where cells reside that fight in unity. And remember that all of these cells are originally produced in bone marrow, but they go to places like the lymph nodes, spleen, the thymus. These are all part of the lymphatic system, and they mature and improve the body's ability to fight infection. You have the respiratory system, which consists of the lungs and the air passages, the nasal cavity, the pharynx, which is the throat, the larynx, which is the voice box, trachea, which is the windpipe, and the bronchi, that are the tubes that lead from the trachea to the two lungs. And the lungs are surrounded by blood vessels, and the blood vessels will pick up the oxygen coming in and give off the carbon dioxide to the lungs so that you can exhale. We have the digestive system, which the job of the digestive system is to break down nutrients that you've eaten and to absorb the nutrients into the bloodstream. And then remove waste, solid waste. So you take food into your mouth, it goes down the throat or pharynx into the esophagus, which is the food tube that leads to the stomach. From the stomach, food is broken down and goes into the small intestine, from the small intestine to the large intestine, and then out the anus. You have some accessory organs of digestion. So the first organs I listed were the organs through which food flows. But you have accessory organs that contribute things like digestive juices to the main organs that I listed, which are part of what is known as the digestive tract or the gastrointestinal tract. The accessory organs would be the salivary glands that are producing moisture, saliva, and also enzymes that break down food, and also the pancreas, which is producing digestive juices, and the gallbladder, which is producing bile, which helps with the digestion of fats. And the gallbladder will store the bile. The bile is originally made in the liver. So you have accessory organs, salivary glands, the liver, where the bile is made, the gallbladder, where the bile is stored, and the pancreas. Okay, let's move on. We have the urinary system. And the urinary system you've got the kidneys, the ureters, and the urinary bladder, and the urethra. And the kidneys, blood goes into the kidneys, and the kidneys will filter the blood. And they will take out waste, and one of the main wastes is called urea, and they will make urine, and the urine goes down the ureters to the urinary bladder, where it's stored until the urinary bladder is full and then excreted through the urethra. We have the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. So both of these reproductive systems are to make more of the species. Okay, so the major organs of the male and female reproductive system would be the gonads, the testes, and the ovaries. Okay, testes male, ovaries female. Why are these the major organs? These are the major organs because these organs produce the sex cells or gametes. Sex cells would be sperm, which are produced in the testes, eggs, which are produced in the ovaries. And so they are required for sexual reproduction because sexual reproduction begins when the sperm fertilizes the egg. Okay, and then that starts the development of a new human being. We have a variety of glands here. The external genitalia would be penis and scrotum. Scrotum are the sacs that surround the testes that hang outside the body. In the female, the external genitalia are called the vulva and consist of the clitoris and also the labia, the lips. Okay, on the inside of the male, we have various accessory organs that contribute to the ability of sperm to get out of the male body through the penis. These accessory organs would be the epididymis, which is just above the testes and allows the sperm to mature. The sperm duct or vas deferens, in this slide they wrote ductus deferens, same thing, which is the tube through which the sperm travel to get to the penis, and they're going to exit through the penis, and it connects to the urethra, which goes through the penis. You have some fluids that are produced by seminal vesicles or seminal glands and the prostate gland, which is named here and not shown I guess they did make a little picture of it, and so they've labeled these parts in the picture, the prostate gland and the seminal gland, which are making fluids to assist the sperm in their travel to the egg. And on the interior of the female, you have the vagina, which is connected to the outside, otherwise known as the birth canal. This is where the penis is inserted during intercourse, and sperm are ejaculated into the vagina. The uterus is where the sperm would travel next, and also where a growing embryo and fetus would live. The ovaries are making the eggs. The uterine tubes are carrying the eggs to the uterus. Fertilization occurs in the uterine tubes, though. And then if a fertilized egg will implant into the wall of the uterus, where it will form into a fetus and eventually be given birth to after 9 months of pregnancy. Okay, so just a little bit of review here. I will just put these as part of this lecture, but you can look at these on your own and make sure that you are reviewing these. And, oops, where did I go? Okay, here we go. I'm trying to get rid of myself. Okay, but you have plenty of time to pause and read the view of the organ systems and their major functions. And this is our last slide. And thank you for listening.